fiction is built on a single, powerful promise. It tells the reader that the puzzle in front of them can be solved. And it promises that they were given a fair chance to solve it too. If you want to write in this genre, understanding that promise is everything. Let's start by defining what mystery actually is. Mystery is not one fixed thing. It's a spectrum. At one end sits the cozy mystery. Think of an amateur sleuth in a small community, with limited violence, and an optimistic world where order is eventually restored. At the other end sits the hard-boiled story and the police procedural. These are grittier, more morally complex, and they often share territory with crime fiction. But across that entire range, no matter how dark the tone gets, one thing stays constant. It's the fair play contract. The puzzle can be solved, and the reader had a real chance to solve it. So what does a mystery reader actually want? Beneath the contract is a deep comfort. It's the belief that truth is discoverable, and that chaos can be made orderly through reasoning. Readers come to test their own deductive skill against the writer's fairness. They want to be surprised by the answer. And then, looking back, they want to realize they could have gotten there themselves. This is why mystery can tolerate a dark, even pessimistic world. But it can never tolerate a solution that cheats. The genre's optimism is not about the outcome. It's about the reliability of reasoning itself. Now let's look at the hallmarks that make a mystery work. First, the inciting puzzle. A crime or problem presented early enough to anchor reader anticipation. Second, the gathering of clues, evidence that accumulates in a way the reader can, in theory, track. Third, the false lead, a credible alternative explanation that earns its place rather than just stalling the plot. Fourth, the investigator's method on display, because readers need to see how this particular mind works, not just what it concludes. And fifth, the revelation, where the solution is delivered and the fair play clues are shown to have been there all along. Here's a key point about that false lead. It only works if it has its own causality. A suspect should look suspicious for a real, traceable reason, not because the plot needed a detour. Next, let's map the subgenres, because each one promises a different book. The cozy mystery features an amateur sleuth, a small community, low violence, and an optimistic resolution. The hard-boiled or private investigator mystery has a grittier tone and a morally complex investigator. The police procedural focuses on institutional process and an ensemble cast. The locked room or puzzle mystery pushes the fair play contract to its most rigorous mechanical extreme. The amateur sleuth has no institutional authority, relying instead on access, curiosity, or a personal stake. The historical mystery turns period limits on investigation into structural constraints. And the domestic mystery places suspicion inside a household or close relationship, often bordering on the psychological thriller. Now consider the plot shapes you can build on. The whodunit is the classic structure: crime, clues, false leads, revelation, and resolution. The howdunit reveals the identity early, so the puzzle becomes the method. The whydunit makes motive the central question, not identity or method. The wrongly accused forces the protagonist to clear their own name, or someone else's, before time or trust runs out. And the cold case reopened brings a past crime back to the surface, reconstructing what the historical record left out. Character arcs in mystery have their own distinct shapes. In The Truth's Price Paid, a character's belief that knowing is worth its cost gets tested directly and expensively. In The Methodical Mind Earned, the investigator's arc is less about transformation and more about regaining the clarity needed to solve the case. In The Community Restored, Common and Cozy Mysteries, the arc belongs to the community as much as the detective. And in The Complicity Confronted, the investigator discovers their own closeness to what they are investigating. Mystery also blends with other genres, sometimes well, sometimes with friction. Crime fiction is a natural partner, since both share investigation architecture, so decide which genre is dominant before drafting. Thriller is close too, but the emphasis differs. Mystery foregrounds the puzzle, while thriller foregrounds the danger. Romance pairs neatly with the cozy mystery as a well-established hybrid. And historical fiction supports the historical mystery, where period limits become a genuine plot constraint. But there are tensions to watch. Cozy optimism and hard-boiled pessimism are technically the same genre, yet they carry nearly opposite contracts. A puzzle's need to withhold information can also clash with genres built on emotional transparency, like romance. So decide deliberately what stays hidden and what doesn't when you blend. Now, let's talk about the most important pages you'll write. The first chapter. Introduce the detective's methodology, showing how they think, what they notice, and what makes them effective, or interestingly, ineffective. Establish the crime or problem, and if you delay it, make sure anticipation is actively building. Create investigative authority, so the reader trusts that the puzzle will be played fair and that solving it will feel earned. Set the procedural tone, because cozy, hard-boiled, police procedural, and amateur sleuth each promise something different. And plant the first clues, even ones the reader won't recognize yet, because the trail starts here. Finally, let's name the most common pitfall. It's withholding too much in the name of mystery. Deliberate obscurity is not the same as intrigue. Your opening should make the reader curious, not confused about what kind of story they are even reading. Here's a simple exercise to sharpen your craft. Take your investigator's relationship to truth. What do they believe knowing will give them? Justice, closure, or control? What is the one fair play clue a sharp reader could catch on a careful reread? And what does knowing actually cost them, instead of delivering the thing they expected? Answer those questions, and your mystery will rest on a foundation that's honest, solvable, and fair. That's the heart of writing mystery well. The world can be dark, but the reasoning must always be reliable.